Good evening. Welcome to Lessons for Life podcast. I'm Troy Hudkins, and this is my guest, Graham Polischuck. Graham, thank you for joining us tonight. Appreciate
Yeah,
having you on.
no problem. Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, it's awesome to see you have some time to share some things with us. So hopefully people listening and watching can gain some insight and maybe get some ideas from your life experiences that they can use in their lives. So
Yeah,
to start with, who is Graham Polischuck?
I'm a dad, husband, son, brother. Um, 40 years old. Been working for a long time. Been married for a while as well. So um, happily married and have a couple kids. Pretty happy guy.
Awesome. Awesome. Who has been your greatest influence in your life, your mother or your father?
Oh man, that's a good question. I just like obviously I'd say both, but when I think of my work life, I've been working full time in a career since basically shortly after I turned 18. So, and my dad is definitely a hard worker and somebody I got my work ethic from. But I think a lot of who I am and how I kind of handle myself and talk with folks, I think is from my mom. So biggest
Awesome.
influence, let's go with my mom by a hair.
By a hair.
Yeah.
Both parents are usually an influence in everyone's lives and for different reasons, which
Yeah,
is
absolutely.
always amazing because you gain things from everybody.
Yeah, for
That's
sure.
awesome. Um, of all the good traits your mother has shown you, what is one that you would like to take and pass along to your younger generations?
I think she was very caring and compassionate, and that was something that I definitely would want my girls to kind of have going forward, and hope that I'm that example or an example of that to them as well. So,
Nice. Awesome. What about your dad? Good traits from him that you would like to pass on?
oh, he's a very driven guy. You know, you taught me that you don't nothing's coming for free, and you got to work for things. And he's just a guy who's continually been driven and worked through his life and has done quite well for himself. The other thing is he wasn't afraid to make certain decisions or moves at certain times when he saw an opportunity, which is another thing that I really admired and try sometimes to kind of jump on an opportunity if it makes sense for a family.
Nice. Nice. Growing up, did you've had brothers and sisters? I don't know.
Yeah, I have a sister.
Okay. Growing up, has your sister had an impact in your life and who you are
Yeah,
now?
yeah, I'd say so. Yeah, my sister and I were very different growing up. Um, she's 2 years older than me, and yeah, we had very different experiences in our home. So um, I would always be working, and I would go with my dad, and I'd do jobs, and sometimes I'd come home from school, and we had a big. My dad had a insulating business to insulate homes. The insulating trailer would be there, and I know I'd had to go and work that night. My sister, I can't barely remember her ever going on a job or doing any of that. So, um, but as far as her influence on me, like during high school, she she really and junior high, she told me just don't talk to me at school, don't say anything. She's an older sister.
Yeah.
But then when I got done school and like kind of around when I turned 18, you know, she like called me up and it was like we were best friends. And I guess what she taught me was that people aren't always the same. Like they change, and that's okay. Like you can accept that, and that you know, sometimes people are a certain way for whatever reasons, but they might change and they might come back to you, and it's not because they're being fake. It's just things that have happened in their life. So don't judge them.
Nice, nice. Yeah, people change and evolve through your life depending what you go through, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Which person outside of your family do you think has had the largest impact on you?
Oh man, I've had the fortune of being around some great people. Um, I had probably the third year of my apprenticeship. I moved to a different area of the upgrader I was working at, and I got a new boss. And the way he treated me, and just watching his leadership and his style of his leadership, um, you know, uh, he was very inspiring to me, and he really shaped the way I kind of shifted my career after I finished my trade, and just the way, just modeling myself after some of his leadership traits, I think has helped me through my career. This fellow by the name of Stan McDonnell. He was a really good guy.
Nice. Awesome. How important is education in your life?
Well, education's pretty important. My dad being a guy who's, you know, he's off the farm, and he didn't finish high school. He's close, but basically left, and him and his buddy both went to McMurray kind of with nothing, and then they both became businessmen there and did very well for themselves. And he has always kind of said, you don't need a ton of education. It's going to be, you can, you're driven and you make good decisions and you want to do things, you can do them. But on the other hand, I've seen where education can really help enhance some of these decisions, and help you with the way, you know the options you have in your life and whatnot. And then being married to Jenny, to my wife, seeing the education she's received and how that's helped her in her life, whether it's professionally or in the home, really highlighted to me how important trying to get a good education is, and whatever that might be for you. There's a pile of different kinds of education, but always
Right.
learning is definitely an important thing.
Yeah, never stop, right?
That's right.
Never stop learning.
Yeah.
So, what would you say carries more importance, classroom or life lessons?
Oh, you know, um, yeah, it's back to they'll be close, but I would say life lessons. You know, you learn a lot about people, about how to act, about yourself, in life. In school, you learn a bit about that as well. Maybe more strategies and stuff on how to do those things, but yeah, in life, you kind of get that instant feedback. You usually right away of what decision you made, whether it was a good one or a bad one. So it's
Okay.
not a right or a wrong; it's actual action. So um, yeah, life lessons to me have been probably more important, I think.
So, probably schooling gives you a basis, a starting point, maybe, and
Yeah,
then life lessons carries you through and gives you the knowledge
yeah,
or the extended knowledge.
yeah, 100%. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, it definitely can set you up so that education can set you up to come into life and careers and stuff like that. Maybe more well equipped in as far as knowledge goes, as to the field you're in. But yeah, life lessons are also going to help you get through those situations you're going to have to go with people and real experiences. So
Right. Okay. So with education and whether it be life lessons or in a classroom, um, how do you know when you know?
Hmm. How do you know when you know? Um, well, I guess when it becomes easy, you kind of know, like
Okay.
when when you start thinking, okay, I got this. Like, this is pretty easy stuff. I can think back to tests. It's been a while, but now I more so think of, because I usually have to do quite a few presentations and whatnot at work, or get in front of folks and talk about a certain subject. And I can always kind of self gauge myself on, how well I did, which means how much I knew that subject I was talking about,
Okay.
um, just by how that presentation went, how I felt it went. Was it easy for me to talk through it and go through it? If it was, it's because I knew what I was talking about, and I was educated, and it was pretty easy. When I find that I've maybe stumbled my way through it a little bit, probably wasn't prepared enough. So
Right. Right.
yeah.
Um, who is your idol? Who do you look at and say, I want to be like them. I want to do what they're doing, or how they are, or what they stand for.
Oh, well, this probably sound corny, but I'd say my wife, Jenny. She's really been an idol for me since I met her. I don't think I ever met anybody that cared so much about others than when I met her. So um, yeah, it was pretty quick after I met her that, yeah, she was just the way she talked to people, and her energy, and the way that she cared for
Nice.
people. Um, yeah, she
She's
was.
she's a tiny girl, but she's a big person,
Oh yeah, 100%.
right?
Yeah,
She's
absolutely.
amazing. She
Yeah.
is. Um, you've played sports through
Hmm.
your life growing up and stuff. What kind of experience have you gained from being part of a team or in a team environment? And I guess that could relate to your work as well, because you're in a team environment at work.
Yeah, but if I relate back to sports, so um, I got into a program in McMurray to got me into an apprenticeship when I was actually 17 and just turned 18 after the program started. And I was pretty lucky to get into it. I just graduated high school and was going to be going to Nate. Got into this apprenticeship and decided to give it a whirl. And as my dad said, go through the 4 years, get your ticket, and if it's not your cup of tea, you got a ticket and you can go to school. And if you ever need to work, you got your ticket. So I did that. And when I first went to work, yeah, you're on teams. You're always working with teams. But doing sports, being part of sports teams, as football, baseball, hockey, you have to learn how to be around many different personalities. You have to learn how to come together and have a common goal, and all these personalities working towards, the same goals. So it's very similar to when you get out there in work life and you got to work with a team. So
Nice.
sports was a big influence for me. I love sports growing up, and I still love sports. So yeah,
Nice.
they're great.
So relating to sports, what about your coaches? What kind of influence did your coaches have on the team or on you as an individual?
Coaches, I mean, made a lot of the difference. It's one of the other parts of going through playing sports is had some coaches that were so motivating, and just, they get the most out of you. And they also, at the end of the day, they might be yelling, they might be screaming, but at the end of the day, you felt like they made you feel like you're a very important part of the team, and that what you did out there was great, and they appreciate you giving your all. Um, and then you also have some coaches that you know didn't do a great job of that, and maybe you didn't feel so great after some of the games or the season, or you felt like they were maybe not appropriate all the time or whatnot. But those are things you got to learn, you got to deal with. because those are situations that are going to come at you in life. So
Right. Similar things that might come at you during your work life as well.
exactly. Yeah.
Right. Okay. What is your why?
Oh, my why. Um, my why. Well, my why is, it's in this house. It's in my house. And really comes down to it really is all about family. But, you know,
Nice.
in the end, my wife, my children, my home, what we've created together is my why for myself personally. And like when I go to work and I think about my why, I think about, like, the place I'm working, I want what I'm doing to contribute to our business and make it, the most successful in that industry, so that, we're part of the best team. We're producing the best things and doing the best job. So
Nice.
um, yeah, those are kind of the whys in my life.
Nice. Awesome. What is your biggest motivator?
Oh, biggest motivator is my why. Uh,
Okay.
it's
Fair enough.
it's yeah, definitely. My family, and really coming home, seeing the smiles of my family, and seeing my daughters happy, and seeing my wife happy. Those are huge motivators to me. That's really, to me, that's what it's all about. Is making sure we're all happy. Um, you know,
Awesome.
things can go up, things can go down, but as long as we can have a happy home, that's motivation for me.
Awesome. And seeing the Oilers win.
And seeing the Oilers win, that's definitely a big motivator. So yeah,
What what is your biggest fear other than Connor McDavid getting traded
yeah, or injured again. Oh
or
man,
injured again?
yeah. Um, my biggest fear is probably is making a mistake, whether it's like professionally or personally, kind of, health wise or something, or me doing something to myself that hurts our family. Yeah, that's
Okay.
kind of one of my biggest fears right
Okay.
now. I think it always has been.
What inspired you to choose the career you're in?
Well, um, uh, money's a bad answer, right? No, I guess there's no wrong answers, is there? Um, you know what? I always, like, growing up. So it's funny because I was accepted to school for, like, business stuff, like business degree, whatever. Um, and it's funny because my dad really didn't know that. He just knew I was going to Nate for something, and he had small businesses, and ultimately he wanted me to kind of take over those. But I wasn't, and that wasn't really a direction I wanted to go into. But you never know. But I got accepted in Nate, and then this program called the co-op program in Fort McMurray came up, and basically I think there's 28 of us that got granted apprenticeships. And what this program does is it's sponsored by some of the major companies in Fort McMurray, and basically they guarantee you your hours for 4 years to get your ticket. And then
Nice.
after you get your ticket, maybe there's a chance you get a job at one of those places. But really, just to get guaranteed hours for your ticket, it's a pretty good deal. So um, I applied, and I had some conversations with my dad. And again, we had that conversation about, it's 4 years, and if you don't like it at the end, then go back to college, and you can work in the summers as your trade and make some money and probably pay for your education. And didn't seem to be a lot of bad reasons not to get into trade. So I got into I applied. 28 of us got chosen out of 400 applicants.
Nice.
And I was pretty excited, like I said, fresh out of high school, and just gung-ho. I liked working kind of in the trades, like working with my hands, building things, doing things. So it made sense for me. And they placed me as a pipe fitter, and I had no clue what that meant. My dad was a mechanic, and I'd call him a carpenter, although he's not a ticketed carpenter. But the guy's built a dozen houses and renovated half a dozen, and built buildings and offices and storage buildings and all kinds of stuff. He's a jack of all trades, that guy. So anyway, got into this, but either of us had any real clue what a pipe fitter would do. So I was like, oh, I'm gonna go for it and give it a whirl. Went out to one of the big plants in McMurray, and first day the journeyman's driving me around, and he says, do you know what we do and if we work on it? I'm like, I really don't know. And he said, well, look around, what do you see? And we were driving through the plant, big upgrader, and a refinery type plant, and there's pipes everywhere. And I'm like, oh, there's piping everywhere. He goes, well, everything you see you work on. So kind of learn that you're kind of doing everything out there, or a lot of things. So the 4 years I spent apprenticing, they were fantastic. And then the different opportunities that presented themselves at the plant over the 4 years, definitely I recognize as an opportunity at a pretty great career. And the teams I was working with, to go back to that team thing, they were fantastic. Nice. And I hit my third year, and I started working with my leader at the time, Stan, and he got me what's called a letter of intent that year that said, once you're done, we're hiring you.
Nice.
And just the way we worked, it was great. So I guess going into the career, I didn't really know what was going to come at me, but after a few years, I realized I think I hit it pretty good with this trade. It turned out really good.
Perfect. Excellent. That's awesome. What is there anything else that you would like to do?
Oh, one thing I would love to do is get my pilot's license.
Nice.
Whether that's like for a single engine Cessna or whatever, but I always wanted to fly. I had some buddies in McMurray, one particular that he had his pilot's license, and he had a small plane out at the airport, and he took us up a few times, and he'd let me take the controls over and whatnot. And
nice.
It was always pretty special. So yeah, it's something I've always enjoyed, and with all the flying I've done in my life, I still get pretty excited getting on a plane.
Nice. So if there was anything you could do without any possibility of failure, what would it be?
Man, any possibility of failure? Like family wise, I think, I'd want the best for them, but I just feel like if we're happy, we're happy. Selfishly, personally, I'd go to space or be an astronaut or something for a bit, something like that. That would be, maybe
nice.
That's an adventurous side of me or something, but space, flying, all that has always been
nice.
Very intriguing to me. So
awesome. What do you do in your spare time to take your mind off things?
Well, kind of to zone out. One of my passions is Oilers hockey, and I try to go to many games as I can, and bring one of my daughters or Jenny, and that gets my mind off the stresses of work and maybe family and whatnot.
Just lets everything go.
Yeah. Sports is definitely one way, and that's kind of a way I can get away from things and then focus on something else I love. To truly kind of relax and get away, to me, going to the mountains does that for me. I feel like when I go to the mountains, the enormity of the mountains just make me feel like I don't, insignificant is a bad way to put it, but kind of what I mean is just
Small
it's
speck.
yeah, it's not all of me. Like my problems aren't the biggest things in the world to worry about, and
Yeah,
it's just a place for me to kind of zone out and think about things and kind of recharge and reset myself. So yeah, that's kind of a couple ways that
nice.
I take my mind off things.
What's the biggest lesson you think you've learned in your life so far?
My biggest lesson, I think, so I think of like how our highest highs and lowest lows just constantly are spreading apart. So your highest highs are always getting higher, and your lowest lows are always getting lower.
Okay.
Um, and those things that used to bug you maybe don't bug you so much anymore because that gap spread so much. Things happen in life, and you learn how to deal with things. You move on from things, and then everything kind of means something different to you. But it makes me reflect back to when I think of my kids and I think of maybe some of the youth or whatever that I'm working with or anybody I'm working with or dealing with, is that you know just because they're not big deals to me anymore, they're still big deals to other people. So they
Right.
still mean something. So just not to discount those things as you get older, um, but just also recognizing that personally that things change kind of.
Nice. Nice. Um, what's one thing in your life that you've accomplished so far that you're most proud of?
um, I'd say again kind of it's it's in my home, um, our family, uh, being married to Jenny for it's 17 going on 18 years. That's been a huge accomplishment. Meeting Jenny, establishing our relationship, having our children. That was quite an
Nice.
accomplishment for us. It took us a while, but yeah, I'd just say it's our home.
Nice. Awesome. What's something that you've done in your life that you wish you could go back and change?
Uh, hmm. Some of my friends, I ended up, I wouldn't say we have rocky relationships, but maybe I didn't keep in touch with them enough, and we kind of distance apart a bit. And I know some of them have went through some rough times just because I hear about it. And yeah, sometimes I feel like maybe if I would have kept the relationship a little stronger, they might have had, they could have leaned on my shoulder a bit if needed.
Yeah, could use a friend. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
What one thing do you think in your past has given you your greatest life lesson?
Um, well, I probably have to say there's tough. There's a few, but I keep thinking back to my mom passing away in 2009, and you know, when I say our highest highs and our lowest lows as we get older and go through different experiences, that's kind of one of those moments that um, was really tough. Um, but my life lesson, greatest part of that, just the way that we got to spend time with my mom before she passed, and really just reflecting on what happened and the compassion we received, and the way I kind of thought about situations after that, um, and how to deal with people, and kind of how you understand people and how they feel during different situations. It's kind of, I think that's one thing that's really kind of changed who I am. As a
Okay,
big lesson.
perfect. What is your idea of perfect happiness?
Oh, perfect happiness. I mean, you know, I don't know, like in the Caribbean somewhere with my family, just reading a book and taking it easy. But
Nice,
it always
nice,
comes back to the family, and just again
nice.
just seeing smiles and feeling true joy of the family, and um, having that feeling inside of you when things are good.
Awesome. So family is a very important part of your life.
Yeah, family's a big one.
Definitely.
That's
Okay.
that's number one for sure.
Awesome. How important are good or positive relationships in your life?
Oh, they're super important. Go back to one of the things I wish I changed, just um, having good relationships with people, so that when times are tough for yourself or for others, that you got somewhere where you can kind of go, and somebody that you can talk to. Very difficult going through life when you feel like there's nobody on your side. So
Right.
definitely important to have those good relationships, so that you have that support for friends and family.
Nice. How important is it to have a positive attitude in all your dealings, whether it be with family, friends, work, or even in your alone time?
Oh, it's yeah, that's very important. I think go back to work for this one, but so I'm a turnaround manager, turnaround supervisor. I've done a lot of different jobs and turnarounds, where turnaround is where you spend a year or two, you plan to do hundreds of thousands of hours worth of work in a couple weeks, or a month. So we bring in sometimes thousands of people, 24/7. We run this job, and things are happening. You're doing 50 to 100 jobs a day are getting done. Decisions are getting made. There's a lot of stress. Things aren't always going right. Um, and man, I've seen it in rooms where when people aren't positive or composed, and kind of setting that vibe, the whole room just reacts. So you really influence people with how you're coming across. If you're coming across in a negative vibe, or kind of stressful, or conflicting or confronting with people, it gets really negative real quick. So having that positive attitude that kind of bringing a bit of light to a situation, yeah, like instantly changes things, and can change the whole mentality of a team. And people are happier, people respond better, people work better, people are enjoy their time more when they're positive. So um, it's very important to keep it that way.
Awesome. Yeah, your attitude wears off on others that are around you, whether it's positive or negative. I think,
Yeah,
like you said, the room reacts to the vibe that you're putting out.
yeah, 100%.
Definitely. Um, do you do any sort of meditation or yoga or any sort of self-healing or self-awareness?
No, well, should say no, because
Other than the Oilers.
yeah, yeah, and that's that's an up and down relationship sometimes. But no, absolutely. So I'd say personally for me, it's I find um, when I'm at home, or we're going through kind of our routine of life. For me, that's through prayer, is kind of my meditation and my chance to kind of I have a two-way conversation with Heavenly Father, and I just kind of I can self-reflect and think and talk, and it really kind of centers me, and brings
Nice,
me peace and balance. Um,
nice,
and like I said, otherwise, like, traveling is definitely a passion for our family, and one of the things that we do, like, I find like when we go to the mountains, like I said, I love the mountains. I kind of feel like I can center myself there, and or wherever we might travel, even big road trips we do, just driving through the country, or we do quite a few cruises, sailing along the ocean, and just listening to the ocean and thinking about life is another place where I'll just kind of center myself.
Nice.
And that's why.
Nice. That's awesome. If you could write a letter to your younger self, what age would it be, and what advice would you give?
It'd probably be like 13-year-old me, and it would. So when I was 13, my parents they split up the summer I turned 13. Or I was 13. It was the summer when I was 13, and that summer I kind of started getting into things that I probably shouldn't. And I probably write a letter back to myself, like, uh, make smart decisions, and maybe at that point look for other things to help get your mind off things other than maybe some of the more negative choices I made there. But
Yeah. So smart decisions, and maybe hang out with the hockey team.
yeah,
Get that direction going.
yeah, exactly.
If you could have lunch and a chat with anyone, dead or alive, who would it be?
Well, like, I don't think I can say Jesus, can I?
Well, I don't know.
I
Would
don't know.
that be one you would like to do?
Yeah, I think like, well, it'd be super interesting conversation.
You'd get some pretty good insight, wouldn't you?
Get good insight for sure, and good guidance.
Right?
It'd be interesting to see if there's a sense of humor there. I'd imagine there is. There must be.
Well, look at zebras.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I think someone else like would be like you know uh, like a Buzz Aldrin or something like that. Somebody who kind of went into space and went to the moon. Um, yeah, somebody like that would be pretty cool to talk to and have a chat with.
Be pretty interesting.
Yeah,
That would be amazing to
yeah,
get some experiences and some, especially as something that's a passion of yours, right?
yeah,
Talk to
yeah,
somebody that's already been there or done that.
yeah. An out of this world experience. Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
If you could live anywhere in the world, where would it be?
Oh, if I could live anywhere in the world, um, boy, I love the mountains, and I really enjoy being around the ocean. Also, probably would enjoy. You know what? I'm gonna say San Jose, because Jenny and I had spent some time there before we had our children, and we went to an Oilers game. We went to a San Jose Oilers game there, and an Oilers. I'm wearing my Oilers jersey, and this guy behind me is from Toronto. Asked me if I'm from Canada, and he's like, "Oh, you got to come here and work." He's like, "I golf during the day. I can go snowboarding the next day. I can go surfing the next day. The mountains, you can see snow, but it's also plus 20 something, plus 30, and you got the beach in front of you." So it kind of hits all my likes. So we always joked around when things were bad or there's a bad snowstorm or something. We kind of joke around. We kind of just say San Jose and remind ourselves about that. So
Yeah, that's always something to look forward to, right?
yeah,
When I lived in Washington, it was the same thing. In a matter of 2 hours, we could drive to the desert, up to the snow, to the
yeah.
beach, on the ocean. Like
Oh,
it's the middle of paradise.
yeah, it's beautiful
Right?
area. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a beautiful area too. Like at first, I wanted to say like, Vancouver Island or that area there, but yeah, just remembered San Jose, so that's kind of. It's
Yeah.
beautiful. The West Coast is beautiful.
My wife and I spent a week in San Diego, and that's a place that I would go. That would be awesome. Just
Yeah,
amazing weather and stuff. Just
yeah. We stayed a week in Carlsbad, which is just north of San Diego, with our girls, and I don't know how we found this hotel, but it was like paradise. Beach. Just every night going to bed, you could hear the waves crashing, and it's just what a what a place. One of the leadership courses I did at work, they tell you, when things are real stressful, and if you need to get away, go to kind of a quiet place or to your office or whatever, and you can turn the lights down if you need to, and go to your happy place. So kind of like go to your happy place. So I
yeah,
think of those places, and that's where I'll think of sometimes if I need to pick myself up. So
nice. That is awesome. It's awesome to have something like that to remind yourself and just, like you said before, kind of center yourself, right?
yeah,
Get yourself back in the zone.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. What type of music makes you happy? What's your go-to for feel-good music?
Oh well, like happy music. Um, yeah, it depends for me, but as weird as it sounds, probably like grunge or punk. This is music I really like. I listened to a lot growing up, and I guess it always energizes me. Which I find when I'm usually need to listen to music, I kind of need some energy, and that does. Now there's different types of those musics, and some of them are pretty downer, and some of them are a little more uplifting or upbeat. So yeah, there's definitely a bit of that. And then I mean, I listen to all kinds of music. Jenny's really, she's her parents are pretty heavy into the kind of the 70s rock and the 60s rock and pop music. So Beatles and Elton John and Cat Stevens and all that we were listening to all the time at home. So I've come to love a lot of that music too. So a lot of that makes me
Nice.
happy.
Okay, so that being said, if you were stranded on a desert island and the device you had would never die, but it could only play one song over and over and over and never stop, what song would it be?
Oh, man.
What do you think you could listen to forever?
Boy, I am going. I think I'm gonna have to go. This is a bit out there, I guess, but I'm gonna go with a song called "Fell on Black Days" by Soundgarden. Um,
Okay,
and it's just a song I love the song, how the song flows, the roll, the rhythm, the tempo, and Chris Cornell to me is the singer of Soundgarden. He is one of the best voices ever. So it's a voice I could listen to over and over. And if I could have an acoustic cut of that song, I might take that. We did
nice,
see Chris Cornell acoustic at the Jubilee here in Edmonton, and yeah, man, that was a
nice,
beautiful rendition of the song. So
awesome. So, one final question. This one I took from another podcast I used to listen to. If you went through your life, you learned everything you've ever wanted to learn, you've accomplished everything you've ever dreamed of accomplishing, you've never failed at anything, and you've just become the brightest, most knowledgeable person you could ever be. When you pass, everything you've learned has to go with you. Nobody would know who Graham Polischuck is, but you could leave behind 3 lessons for life for future generations. What would those lessons be?
oh, 3 lessons. Um, well, I think the first one I think of is like, um, learn to love. Um, I believe like your greatest joy comes from that, has in my life. Um, and sometimes it can be a bit risky, or people can feel that opening themselves up can be tough, but that's kind of when to learn to love. Uh, Learn to laugh would be the next one. You gotta have things that make you laugh. Um, you know, um, don't think that that's something you don't need in life, or that it's immature or something like that. But always kind of have that thing that you can go to kind of get a smile on your face. Um, and then the other one is probably the third one, and you know, to me, caring for people is definitely a big one. But I think I'm going to go with just you know uh, have a work ethic and know that you're going to have you know it takes a bit of work to get through life. So don't be afraid of doing a bit of work, and know that it's coming.
Awesome. Awesome. Learn to love, learn to laugh, and work hard and get through life.
Yeah, you bet. Yeah.
That is amazing. Graham, I appreciate your time tonight. Uh, Thanks for sharing things with us. Hopefully, people that are watching and listening can take some advice from our conversation and maybe, use those things in their lives, or maybe they've had similar experiences to you and realize they're not the only ones. Hopefully
Yeah.
people enjoy it. I appreciate your time again. This has been Lessons for Life. I'm Troy Hudkins, and my guest, Graham Polischuck. Tune in again for another episode coming soon. Thank you very much. Goodbye.